Sports Office is a media event. Why? Because we're all media heads in here. To my left, Rick Wright from the Albuquerque Journal. The guy writes about everything that's sports related, and of course, on his side is Lawrence Gilligan, our regular, who's always in the house.
Always in attendance.
That's right. And what do we start out with? How about Lobo football? Because 4-3, and if I had said this to either one of you guys at the beginning of the year, they're going to be 4-3 at this point, you would have just looked at me and said, "Man, this is something."
People asked me what I thought back in August, and I said maybe 2, maybe 3. I think 4 would constitute a minor miracle. So I guess maybe Bob Davies, the miracle worker that Rocky Long said the program needed when he left. Mike Loxley certainly was.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I just can't believe it.
Yeah, you know, and they have a big opportunity going in the Air Force now. You know, it's a good thing that they already got that first Mountain West Win Conference under the belt. You know, on the road in Hawaii, a team that I guess is struggling, but still that might be a trap game. You know, and it's good to see the Lobos having that first one going in the Air Force.
Right.
Yeah, because you know, you go back to that Hawaii game. They could have thrown in the towel when they had that big lead. You know, get up 21-0, and then slowly Hawaii starts nipping away at that, and Cole gets knocked out of the game, and you know, when Cole leaves, everybody thinks, oh, they're not going to run the option as much, and BR stays in the game, and he's doing great. You know, they get that last touchdown, like finally saying, like, no, we're not going to lose this game.
Yeah, I thought that 2nd and 4 call, the wheel route, the pass to Chase Clayton was a brilliant call.
Oh yeah.
That just.
That opened up everything. Yeah. That changed the momentum of the game.
Totally tilted the field position, and from there, 30 yards is with Casey and with B.R. Holbrook running the option surprisingly well. That really put it away, and that made a statement for sure.
Do you think the biggest shock is just how well the offensive line is produced? Because obviously, you know, you can talk about the running game, but the running back and the quarterback will always talk about the line. And I mean, this is a line that had, what, 6 guys in spring?
Yeah.
And now these guys are trying to maintain staying healthy, and they're carrying this team along to where they're starting to finally produce. And that triple option, we all know that that's a grueling type of offense to run, and to defenses, you keep a defense on the field, and you just tire them out.
Yeah, all those guys will tell you they love to run block. They love to run block, and it's not exactly the same every time, but it's almost the same every time, and that repetition really helps. And the mindset is totally different.
Right.
Ben Hilgard has done a great job with those guys in the weight room, but he hasn't turned them from weaklings to monsters overnight. I think it's more the mindset. They just
I had to agree with that.
Yeah, it's just toughness.
And let's give Jason Lensmeyer some credit, because he comes from that Bob Bostad tree of offensive linemen. You know, the Lobos had a string of offensive linemen just going to the NFL year after year. When Bostad was here, and then he went to Wisconsin, you saw when he was at Wisconsin was just grinding up people and just shoving the ball down people's throats. And Lensmeyer was doing that when he was with the Aggies. The Aggies had a few games where they were shoving the ball down people's throats, and you could see that he's used to that hitman lineman that come out and just get it done, and those guys are buying in.
Right. It's a little like boot camp, I think. They had what, a couple of guys quit in the spring and fall, and then they had one quit just recently. You know, and I don't know exactly the whys or wherefores, but I think basically it comes down to some kids can take it and some can't.
Right.
And the ones that can are better off. I mean, that's what we're seeing.
I would have to agree with that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your take on the triple option? Obviously, it's a team Coach Davies preached on that, you know, from day one that they're going to run the football. You know, and it's an older type. You know, I don't want to. I'm not saying anything about old school football, but it's not as modern. Well, I mean, you look at the spread and you look at guys throwing the football, and now you got a team that's running the option, and it's working.
I love the triple option. I've always have. When Rocky Long ran the wishbone as the quarterback here in the 70s, I love that. Rocky always said he loved to coach that, but didn't think he could recruit to it. Now Bob Davies here running a stylized version of it. Bob DeVess's offense that he brought from Sam Houston State, that you can throw at it. We're not seeing a lot of that right now for a lot of reasons, but I think you will see that in the future. And I think it's an offense that not every kid will want to play in, but there was certainly enough of those run-pass kids in talking about quarterbacks. There are plenty of those kids in high school that would love to play in this offense. Yeah. And I think going forward, they can make it work. I think they can recruit to this.
Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, I think we might see some of that against the Air Force, some of that play action stuff, because Air Force has shown that they can do that. You know, like that last game they had with Bob Davis talked about in his press conference, how they got the home run ball a couple times.
Right.
So we might see some of that, especially if BR is going to end up playing the whole game against Air Force. Maybe we'll see some of that.
Yeah. Well,
this weekend.
They've come out throwing these last 2 games. I think against Texas State they threw four out of the first 5 or 4 out of the first 6 were passes. And the first play against Hawaii was a pass to Chris Byron.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, who hadn't caught one and may not catch one again. We don't know. But they want to make that statement. They want to tell opposing defenses right off the bat, we will throw it if you cheat up on us. We will do that.
And that's good.
And don't forget that the quick screens they threw against Mexico State to set up that long pass to Quintel Solomon.
Oh yeah.
That unfortunately we didn't catch. But that's still in the playbook. I'm guessing we'll see that again at some point.
And you got to think, where's Lucas Reed at? You know, Lucas Reed's a guy that has been highly touted his entire career here, you know, and he made a catch in that first drive against Hawaii that moved the chains, you know, and but I don't know if he fits in the scheme anymore because it's an option-style offense where it's kind of a blocking scheme now for him, you know, instead of trying to run out there and get open.
They're trying to get him more involved, and you can see it. But I think all these kids are telling the truth when they say they don't care. I don't think Lucas Reed cares if he catches a pass as long as they win, because he was here through all 3 of those 1-11 seasons. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many passes you catch if you lose. If you're a team guy, and I certainly believe he is, and I believe almost all the kids that are still in the program are. Maybe not some of the kids that left, but I think the kids that are here because they want to win.
Being a guy that's been around the Lobo program for such a long time, what are your thoughts on being on a team that, like you said, you know, a team that would have 4 wins, even maybe total this season, but now it's got to be exciting to write about a team that doesn't really care what maybe the people think outside of their own group. You know, that's got to be fun to cover.
People asked me last year how big a drag it was to cover a 1-11 team, and I said, you know, it's the job is the same. You still write the stories, you still do the interviews. It really doesn't matter. But then I remember walking out of the stadium at TCU last year, just kind of in a daze because it was like covering a terrible car wreck. You know, and so bottom line, it does make a difference. It's certainly a lot of fun to speculate about how many they can win.
Sure.
You know, whether there's a bowl game in their future. Who would have thought? So from that standpoint, it's a lot more fun.
Makes it more attractive when if there's going to be another round of conference shuffling, it would make New Mexico more attractive if they're winning because all their other programs are pretty successful. And so if football is able to come up, which I think there's going to be another round, and they still might be left out because there's probably going to be 4 super conferences, and some of these schools that are still left out are probably going to be left out because they just keep talking about conference shuffling in the college football world. With that said, what do you guys think about trying to spread the wealth and making things more of an even playing field? Do you all think that would make more people come into college football and you would raise even more money?
Well, if you're talking about pooling the resources.
Pooling the resources, like the BCS money, having some caps in some situations because it's gotten out of hand.
So, first of all, that would take some time to take root if you did that.
No, they would.
I mean, you know, for New Mexico State to be on the level with Ohio State or even near that.
Yeah.
No matter what you did, that would take some time, and you know, people get awfully restless, and people are impatient. And if it ever happened, would we start seeing 30,000 people in the stands down in Las Cruces instead of 10? Yeah, I think we would. But you know, we're talking about, I don't know if it's an impossibility, but it's you know, there are just too many people who benefit too much from the system as it is, and who have just a vested interest in keeping it that way. And I think that's what we're going to see.
He's just trying to cause a riot. Okay? I mean, every
you like that
Ohio
idea,
State fan, USC fan. Are you kidding
you like
me?
that idea,
It's a great idea.
Because
but,
I mean, you know, this is me and Lawrence talked about this sometime in the sports, you know, like when we're just doing work. And one thing about it, I actually was texting somebody about this the other day, and I said it's like having a 500-pound man walk up to a toddler and say, like, come on, come get me again, come at me, I'll knock you down again. The toddler is like getting back up. You know, he's 3 years old, and he's like, I'm ready. And the guy just, boom, knocks him down again. Because these other programs, they don't even have a chance. You know, against all this big money and stuff like that. You can argue and say, okay, Boise State, well, that's a unique situation. They figured something out. And some of the other schools did that were in the Mountain West before they ended up jumping to some of the other conferences. But look how long it took for them to even get up to that point.
I will say that almost any FBS team has the opportunity to figure it out, like Boise State did, like Utah did. Make the right hire, hire the right people upstairs,
right,
and just keep plugging.
But still, even when they got there, it was almost like they didn't want to open the door. It was like, yeah, we see that you're dressed like us and you're ready to go, but we don't want to let you in this room. You know, it was like, huh?
Well, that's true. There's like I said, there's just a vested interest for those people in the status quo, and that's the way they want it unless they have to change. The Big East reached out for Boise State and San Diego State out of desperation because they were getting rated. And on we go. I do think we're kind of in a lull right now as far as conference realignment.
Yeah, I think something's going to happen, though.
We will see another round for sure. I don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of years, but we'll see it.
It's kind of disgusting because it's all driven by money. I don't like to see anything like just, you know, I know things are driven by money. People make profits and stuff like that, but it's always good when there's balance in those decisions, when there's other things in there. Just like I don't think I mean, these guys have to travel so far. Like you talk about the Big East even. Are we considering these guys being student athletes and going to assignments and stuff like that? Or what, you know, come on.
Well, the American college athletic system makes absolutely no sense. It's not found anywhere else in the world other than North America.
Yeah.
The idea of a kid getting an academic scholarship because he can throw a football or a baseball or shoot a basketball, on the face of it, it makes no sense. But we all love our college sports, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, so here we are.
Say Sarah.
I know.
Here we are making our living.
Say la vie. Is that what you Well, hey, Rick Wright, unless Lawrence has something to say to you,
I'm glad
we're all tapping
you're
out.
Gonna make the trip, huh, up to Air Force?
Oh yeah.
And by the way, I just want
everyone except Honolulu, unfortunately.
Oh, that's the best one, probably.
And I want to point out that Lawrence is wearing Air Force's colors. Other than that,
I planned it because I knew you were coming. Air Force is more Navy. This is
I'm throwing you under
Boise
the bus,
State,
man.
maybe. I don't know.
I'm throwing you under the bus, dude.
Thanks.
Well, hey, Rick, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for
On behalf of Rick Wright,
Yeah.
Lawrence Gilligan, I'm Van Tate, Robert Pugsley behind camera. We'll see you next time.